Welcome to the Right Place podcast, where we learn with you how to build connections that matter, relationships that last, and businesses that thrive. My name is John Watson, and today I'm joined by Kimlynn Temple, founder and CEO of Tipped, and an upcoming speaker at the Clara Business Network here in Cape Town. Kimlynn, thank you so much for your time today. Really looking forward to learning more about your journey.
Oh, John, thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be on this. Thank you for asking me.
No, it's a privilege to have you here today. And now, Kimlynn, Tipped is a digital tipping and payment solution aimed at any service personnel receiving gratuity, car guards, or parking, customer parking relationship managers or customer parking assistants, waiters,
Yeah.
and they make use of a QR code and a digital wallet. And the QR codes are then linked to the banking app. So there's no need to download any app or anything in order to make a payment. How has that rollout been and that journey been, just in a nutshell? I know you could probably write a book about your 5-year journey so far, but just sum it up. Where are you in terms of that process and how things are going there?
It's been, it's funny. I was chatting to my developer the other day. We were just chatting about the journey of being an entrepreneur, and it's an insane journey. It honestly is. It's filled with so many highs, so many lows, so many lessons. And the journey of Tipped has been exactly the same. It's been 5 years of a lot of learning. But where it is right now is I'm super proud of it. We've developed a digital wallet, as you were saying, that corresponds with this QR code. And, throughout the ecosystem of this digital wallet is where I think my heart and my passion really lies. And that's what we're busy building up at the moment. It's taken quite a while to get to where we are in terms of having to put something out there, put a pilot out there, learn and develop, bring it back. And we've had to develop and we've had to change and we've had to restructure and then putting it out again and having to learn. And these continuous lessons that we've gone through have basically created what we have now, which I believe it's like nothing like this exists out there in the market, which is amazing. But I think it's what we can actually do with this. As I say, that's the exciting point of it. But it's now at a place where it is ready to go out. It's ready to hit the market. We've learned the lessons, as I say, but through that we've developed it in a way that it's structured that to just reach the audience that we need to and accommodate for the people that we need to as well.
And I've been watching Tipped closely for the last couple of years, and what I wish is that it had been around earlier. I was a waiter in the early 2000s. I had to pay for my CA studies, and I was just paid tips in cash, and cash, you know how it flies out of your wallet. So I wish I had tipped around, that people could have put some money in my bank account rather. How have you seen Tipped change users' saving and spending habits for those that have already adopted it?
It's been so interesting for me, and there's been so many moments, I think, in this journey where things have taken me by surprise, where I haven't expected, things to go the way that they have. And one of the things in particular is exactly that. It's the savings that has come out of this wallet. So I started when I first started Tipped, I started with car guards, and I've moved into various different service sectors since then. But working with car guards from the beginning, we managed to, and I've put it out there, we managed to increase their earnings by almost 40%, which is huge. So a 40% increase in revenue has meant so much, and it has allowed us to see so much as well and understand spending behavior, a transactional behavior, all of that as well. And one of the things, as I was saying, that has been super interesting for me is that car guards now are actually using the money that's going into their tipped wallets as a savings. They're spending the cash that they make every day on the necessities and daily necessities and that, but they're actually using that money that's sitting in their tipped wallets as savings to either build something, to build their own businesses for their own future, or otherwise to pay for education or support families, and I absolutely love that because we've given a whole different platform to do so much with. And that's been the surprising thing in it, is seeing that it has been used as a saving mechanism as well.
No, that's excellent to hear. I mean, it just offers them so much value upfront, although it might be
Yeah.
difficult because they're used to having cash in their hand. Now they have to trust the process, that the money that they've been paid is safe, and they can maybe start thinking about how to use it wiser, how to make it go a little bit further.
Yeah, exactly. and it's a story, just talking about the safety of it. It's a story that I tell so often. But it was such a instrumental part of developing Tipped, and why we've pushed through and why we've done what we've done is just that safety, that cashless environment that we've been able to provide through this and what it's done. One of the car guards that I signed up originally got robbed at knife point, and horrifically, and they took everything from him. They took the money he had on him. They took his wallet, his phone, his cards, everything. But we had signed him up 3 days prior, and he had 300 rand sitting in his tipped wallet. And I went to go visit him and the next day, and he was so excited because he said, Kim, for the first time ever, I've got money sitting in a safe and secure platform, in a safe place that nobody could touch. And I think for me, it was such a big moment for me, because that's when I went, it's this alone we can increase earnings, which is huge, but on top of it, we can give that safety, which is so needed in this country. And then you start looking and taking it further, going, okay, well, what other sectors can we take this into? Where else can we bring this into? And it's within the townships as well, in the informal sector. There's so much opportunity for it, just to provide those two basic features, never mind everything else that we're bringing in. But it just fills such a big need, I think,
No, that's excellent. I mean, especially if a lot of restaurants and malls and service providers are going cashless, it
Yeah,
means the general public and the consumer out there is not carrying a lot of cash. That,
exactly,
I
yeah.
mean, that must obviously then translate to your other more informal service providers like car guards, waiters, things like that, where you can now pay that. Everyone's so used to using Apple Pay or Google Pay or scanning a QR code. So what's the difference then in if doing it for waiters or for car guards?
Exactly. And there's, so, as I say, there's a lot that we're doing with this as well. But just in terms of, if you look at in the hotel industry, in any sort of food and beverage industry as well, just to be able to provide that. And also, I think for that money to be driven to the correct individual and the right individual, and for them to receive their money instantly, there's so many benefits to that too. So everywhere, and I think that's the thing that's just propelled this forward so beautifully in its journey, is that every sector that we go into, there's problems that we can fix through something so simple. It's actually such a simple solution, but it's all the adjacencies that come along with it, and it's all these little problems that we can come in and go, but we can fix that easily here, and we can provide the safety here, and that's that honestly is what fuels me every day in this.
Now, the tagline for Tipped is change for change. So during
Yeah.
these first 5 years of Tipped, how have you changed as a person?
I love that question so much. It's something that I listened to a podcast recently. It was Gymshark with the Diary of a CEO. And he was talking about how the journey of building a business, and as you take this idea and you nurture it, and you hope and pray and you put everything into it to grow it into what you want it to be and what you hope it to be. And through this journey, it goes through its growing pains, and it goes through its growth spurts, and its ups and its downs and everything. But that you, as the entrepreneur behind it, you don't realize that you're going through, or almost running in parallel with it. You growing with it, alongside it. And I love that so much, because I'd never really thought of that before. But if I look back at the last 5 years, that I've gone through with this, I've grown immensely. And from day one, I've always referred to Tipped as being my mentor. It honestly has been. It's taught me more than what I could ever do for it, So I feel like if I can give it wings and let it grow, it's only to pay it back for what it's done for me. It took me out of a place where I needed to be taken out of as well, without even knowing. It gave me a chance to grow as a person, I think, as well. But through these 5 years, you look back and you just think, gosh, we've actually together, I say we, but Tipped and myself, just in that journey alone have grown so much. So it's a beautiful reflection to be able to look back and kind of go, okay, it's been tough, but at the same time, it's as I say, it's been my mentor, and it's taught me a hell of a lot. And I pray that it continues to do so.
Excellent, Kimlynn. It's been wonderful to follow your journey, and I can see how much personal, what is the right word to say, how much you've got invested in it emotionally, personally. It seems to be all consuming, and I think that's it's a scary place to be, but it's also a good place to be because you care so much about the product and the bigger picture that you're trying to address that you're just giving it absolutely everything you can.
Absolutely. And I always say I've got 3 kids. I've got my 2 human kids, and then I've got this, and it's honestly been my baby. I'm very blessed that my children are my biggest supporters too in this journey, and have supported it. But absolutely, I mean, it's only in my 40s did I find my true passion and purpose in a career. And there's not a day that I would allow it to go without really, really taking that on and nurturing it and growing it, But it's also because it serves such a bigger purpose. And I think that's the biggest thing. When I started this, I first thought, well, I hate not being able to tip someone, and I was in a very similar position to you when it was 9/11. Actually, I was in the UK trying to get into IT and landed up having to bartend. Absolutely hated it. Didn't know the first thing about bartending at all. And really battled financially. And it was the days where I received a tip from someone, whether it was £1 or £2, whatever it may be, that made such a significant difference to my day. It meant I could get on the bus to go home as opposed to walking home in the rain, kind of a thing, or I could eat supper that night, And so I think I carried that with me all along, and that has kind of sat there somewhere all along going, you just realize the importance of something very small to somebody else could be huge and could be life-changing or just change your day as such, So carrying that, and then, as I say, when I started Tipped, it was going into it thinking, I hate not being able to show my appreciation or just support someone really, and having had that background going, I don't want to not be able to help. And I need to fix this, I need to change this. And it was my dad and I that kind of went, okay, well, what do we do? How do we do this thing? Surely we aren't the only 2 people that feel like this. So starting it off thinking, okay, well, we could maybe just make an easy way for the tipper to tip someone, but not realizing that it would change so much for me as I went in this journey and as I started understanding and seeing things from the tippy's point of view. That's when my passion really, really was born and was ignited. And I think I've carried that all the way through this, because there's these little moments throughout this journey, throughout these 5 years, when you sitting with a car guide and you're explaining and you're showing them, and then the next thing you follow their journey and you see, hang on, but now you're earning so much more. And then I find out this is what you're doing with your earnings, that gives me that passion every single day to just make this better and better.
No, that's wonderful to hear, Kimlynn. Now talking about those early days of Tipped, you write on your website that some people were skeptical or even angry when they first heard about Tipped. How did you build a bridge between the negative perceptions of tipping or tipping car guards and then your digital solution, and the solution you knew that these people need something. It can't go on like this.
That's the thing, kind of thinking to myself, I need to fix this, right? And we need to change this somehow. There needs to be a balance that needs to be created, going out there, and then, as you say, getting some backlash from the public. I think it's, when I first put it out there, it's scary, because you think, well, this is an idea and I don't know where it's going to go or how it's going to change lives or not, or make a difference or not. I have no idea, right? And I had no idea how the public would take to it. And having those negative comments, I sort of sat back. I remember the moments so clearly, sat back and I thought, what are you actually trying to do here? And then thinking, I know this can work, and I know I need to give this a try. I can't just let this knock me down. Taking the opportunity to those that raised certain negative points in the journey, in terms of, like, there's a transaction cost fee that occurs when you send a tip across. So the recipient, it falls on the recipient, on the car guard, for example, and that comes off his amount. So say, for example, you tip a car guard 10 Rand, there's a 5% transaction fee. And in that, I really struggled with that, because here I'm trying to make the car guard or the recipient as much money as I possibly can, and yet there's a fee that has to fall on them. I was struggling with that anyway on my own. and then to have it come out, from the public and the media, but you're taking money away from them. And I had to try and justify that. And I thought, am I? It really, really wrestled with that and struggled with it a lot. And then I thought, actually, hang on, this is a fantastic opportunity to use this as a space to educate rather than anything else. So bring in education into these negative comments, so use it almost as a marketing tool to say, yes, I hear you, but did you know? And to be able to counter those with positive, just positive facts, I think, and information about how the car guard industry works. It's a very interesting industry, and it's taking those negatives and turning them into a positive and using it as an educational platform almost, because you're out there, people have seen you, so let's now flip this over and turn this and say, yes, I understand that, but this is what we're doing because I've seen all those things, I understand it. I want to fix those things. I'm not trying to make it worse at the same time, so it's just using, I think, and I've had that in this journey. You have the closed doors, you have the no's, you have the naysayers and the negativity and all of that around it, but it's just how do you actually take that and flip it and use it constructively as much as possible.
And I think there's so much to be learned from just having those early conversations there, because you're building this app for these people, and you need to make sure that you tick in the right boxes for them. You tick in the right boxes for the customer that's going to be tipping them. And now recently you've announced a partnership with Pam Golding in Durban and Point to sign up car guards that side in the surrounding area there. Tell us about that partnership and maybe mention some of the key people involved in that.
That's been amazing, and that came out of the blue. It was, but this entire journey has been incredibly blessed like that, I must admit. There's been beautiful partnerships that have just followed along and been part of Tipped and created what it is today. I certainly have not created it on my own. It's been through all these incredible people that I've met in this journey, and Mohammed from Pam Golding, he heads up the Durban Pam Golding branch. He contacted me and basically said, I love what you're doing. How can we get involved? And we just want to help sign up car guards. And I just, it's my faith is extremely important to me. It really is. And God has honestly blessed me with the most phenomenal people that have taken this on. I think that see and share in the goodwill and say, you know what, like, how can we help? And that's been a beautiful thing. It's from people that just say, I've got a shopping center across the road from me. How do I help? I've got this guy who sells stuff on the corner. How do I help? And that's been amazing. And Pam Golding have done exactly the same thing. They've come on saying, we just want to help you sign up people. Let's open up our offices, which is huge, and invite anyone that wants to sign up. You couldn't ask for better, really. And as I say, but it's been amazing. I've got incredible partnerships. We've just recently launched a pilot with Cecil, which is super exciting. And so that as well, they've been phenomenal in the support that they've given me in seeing this as, this is something that we're continuously building. And they're on the journey with us. I'm part of the V&A, the Buskers program at the V&A Waterfront. And that as well, Riasha Fisher, who heads that up, has brought me on as a mentor. But to be part of their journey is, and to be part of something as beautiful as what they do and what they're encouraging at the V&A Waterfront with their performing artists is just fantastic, So if we can sign them up and they can get tips that way, it's just beautiful. It really is. And as I say, my entire journey has been filled with incredible connections and people just coming on and just wanting to help.
I think every entrepreneur needs some early adopters, some super fans, some people that are on board with you right from the get-go. And I'm definitely going to look out for the buskers at the waterfront when I'm there next.
Yeah.
And now I want to ask you a question about something that I saw on your website. So right at the bottom of your website is the word tapped. Now we've talked about tipped, and I saw the word tapped. I'm like, I haven't seen anything really about tapped. Are you allowed to tell us anything about that yet, or is that still a work in progress?
It is a work in progress, but it's the next development really to tipped. And it's just something that we thought of, that we could bring in alongside to complement what we're doing. We've got an extensive roadmap ahead of us as to what we want to do. I think, it's those. I don't stop, and I'm often having to be told by those closest to me, just Kim, focus on one thing at a time, because I get onto this, and as I say, it's those 2 o'clock in the mornings, you wake up and think, oh, but we can do this, and I can do this, and and what if we brought in this, and so there's this huge roadmap that I have that is filled with wonderful things that we're bringing in. Tapped is part of it, but it almost is something to run adjacent to what Tipped is. So my focus is really primarily at the moment is just building Tip to what it is and slowly introducing one thing at a time into our ecosystem. But they're pretty big. They're big things, and I think they're going to make a very big, significant difference to people's lives. So, yeah, got to watch the space.
Now, Kimlynn, you're going to be talking at the Clara Business Network in August, and we're really looking forward to having you there. Besides sharing a bit more of the Tipped journey in detail, what else can people look forward to on that night?
It is sharing Tipped's journey, but it's sharing the mission and the purpose behind what it is. I think it's I've always used the phrase, and I use it again and again every time I speak about Tipped, but I want to make a significant difference, right? And I want Tipped to be a healing story, or the healing story of South Africa, because I honestly believe that it can be. I think we can fix so much with this, and we already are. And so I think it's I can't build a community, I can't build people without people, right? And so it's spreading what it is that we're doing. It's telling people about, yes, Tipped is a digital tipping solution, really it is, but there's so much more, right? And it's sharing in that mission with people, and it's spreading that mission with people. As I say, to have people approach me and say, how can I help? We want more of that. You want people to understand when they see the word Tipped, when they see the name, they realize there's a lot more. It runs a lot deeper than just giving a tip to someone. And so I think it's just putting that mission out there, the objectives that we have with this. It's sharing that with people, and it's really that, I think, more than anything else, it's creating that trust, because a lot of what we've seen in putting our solution out there, and as I say, putting it out, having to bring it back in, redefine, redevelop, fine tune it, putting it out again, through all the series of having to sort of fix and reinvent and develop, we've realized that a lot of it there's a trust element there and a trust factor, and so it's, I think, using opportunities like that to speak at any networking event or any event, really, it's to instill that trust behind our product as well, so that more and more people will use it, because they know the passion behind it and they know the mission behind it too.
Kimlynn, that's a wonderful answer. I think if people get on board with the mission, they can get on board with the product, and then they can just adopt it as part of their normal daily routine, that it's nothing scary or weird to tip a waiter or tip a car guard with your phone. And I think that's really wonderful. So really looking forward to that. August is also Women's Month, and you've been recognized over the last couple of years in the Women in Stature Awards and the Top 75 Dynamic Women of South Africa Awards. Now, people have two different perceptions about awards. Some people really love awards and they love getting the recognition. Other people say awards don't mean anything. Where do you stand on that? And what do these awards mean to you?
I think it's a difficult one, because, you kind of go into this thinking you don't expect the recognition, and you don't look for it, certainly not. I've just, as I say, been extremely blessed to have had it, to be nominated the way that I have, and for Tip to be recognized. And I think for me, it excites me, and I see it as a positive thing, because I think, it's exciting me because people share in, they can see what you're doing, right? And they share in that vision that you have, and you're being recognized for that, and not necessarily you as an individual, but your idea, the concept of Tipped is being recognized, because it's a game changer in so many ways. It can just change so many lives. And so for me, the awards have been significant in adding credibility to tipped. It's I just feel extremely blessed because I don't think many startups have the launching pad that I've had in regards to being recognized so quickly by the press, by the media, by being nominated for these awards, and it certainly takes your brand and it takes your idea and your concept, your business, and it does launch it significantly, in terms of just, as I say, having that recognition outside of just you yourself saying, this is an idea that I have and this is what I want to do. It's actually being recognized for that. And as I say, I think it just puts you on a different level, and it allows your company to be seen. In so many of these things that I've done, the competitions that I've been in, and that the reason why a lot of it, why I've gone into them or what I've got out of it is, again, the networking, the connections, the lessons. You learn so much in these sort of, whether it is a competition where you're pitching or whatever the case may be, but you just, there's incredible lessons that you learn through it, and is part of that journey that we spoke of, that you as the CEO or as the entrepreneur, that you're growing alongside too. So I think it runs a lot deeper than just an award and a recognition and a certificate. It runs a hell of a lot deeper than that, and that's what I've been grateful for. I've met significant people along this journey, but at the same time, when you stand up there, whether it's on a stage or whether it's accepting an award or, whatever the case may be, I've always looked at it and thought, I've got all these ears listening. I've got all these minds listening. And that alone, just that opportunity for me is priceless. Like, I think that to me makes it that's the award, that's the prize, that's the recognition, that's opportunity all in one.
I think that's a wonderful mindset to have about awards, because you can use it to your advantage, and it's not
Yeah,
just accepting all the praise, which is good to hear, and we do need to hear that, but to turn it around and just add that to the momentum of what you're trying to build. Use it as a platform to broadcast the mission that you're so focused on. So I really think that's a positive mindset to have there.
thank you.
Now, Kimlynn, as a standout female entrepreneur, what advice would you give to a woman, a wife, a mom who might also be in their 40s, like you and I are, who feels a bit lost or unsure about their career path and which direction they should go?
I think if you're blessed enough to know or have a passion to follow it, whatever it may be, honestly, I think whatever feeds your soul and fuels your purpose and allows you to wake up every day excited. Because some days you don't wake up excited, some days it's tough in this journey, but where you can, as much as possible. But I think as a woman, and I think it's a lovely question in that, I've always thought, well, any entrepreneur, there's you've got to go for it, and you've got to, like Steve Jobs says, you've got to be crazy enough to think that you can do this and that you can make a difference and you can make a change. And it's a crazy one to kind of think that, but it's just, you're crazy because you're following a passion, right? And you're following your heart and you're following what you love. But I think as a woman, and as I say, it's something that I pray to pass on to my daughter, both my children. But my daughter, is that if you feel so strongly about something, anything in life, whatever it is, you follow it and you believe in it and you keep going, and you hold that close, because it can turn into something, as I say, that I feel extremely blessed to have, but it can turn into something that becomes your everyday, that becomes your mission, that becomes your purpose. And if you're blessed enough to find that, then follow it. If you don't have it, keep searching, because you will find it. I mean, we're all designed to have some gift somewhere, right? Whatever that may be. So, I think it's a difficult one, because, as I say, you don't want to just put women into one, but I think it's any person that has that can find that passion and be fueled by that is a massive blessing. And honestly, to just believe and to keep going and keep at it and keep persisting. Because, as I say, not every day is easy, and not every day you want to persist. And sometimes you do question. Many, many times you question. I was recently talking to my son's friend's mom, sorry, and she she said in her journey of creating her own business, she's a winemaker and has done extremely well. And she just said, every single day for 5 years, she questioned if she was doing the right thing and if she should stop and if she should give up. And I look at her now and what she's achieved on her own as a single mom is just phenomenal, So, and I think that was a good thing for me to hear and to take heed of, because it was just a reminder, that yes, you're going to question it, but just keep going and keep pushing through.
And I really love that answer again. And you mentioned your 2 children. Now, during this tipped journey that you've been on, have you been able to educate them a little bit more on maybe financial responsibility, social upliftment, taking care of those who are in more service roles that we sometimes take for granted?
Absolutely. As I say, like, if there's any lesson that I can teach my kids, or a legacy as such that I can pass on, it's that you can do well in your own and in your own self by helping others, and that you can create something very successful in order to fuel yourself, as I was saying. But I think it's that knowing that you can do this through kindness and grace, and compassion for others. And as I say, they have been my biggest cheerleaders from the beginning, from assisting me and guiding me through, helping with the name to the logo to the ideas, and to coming with me to sign up. And they can pitch tipped just as well as me, because they've heard it a million times over. And wherever I am, I'm trying to help someone, sign them up, tell them about tips, and they are there alongside with me. And I think it's something that's so important to me, is that if they can share in that mission and in that purpose, which they have, and they've seen it, to help me. And I mean, my son is 12 and he's almost 13 now. He was asking me the other day if, he wants to start working and how can he start earning money and whatever outside of his chores that he does at home. And I said to him, okay, well, fantastic. Come with me and sign people up, and be my tipped ambassador. And I think as a 12-year-old, if you can understand that, if you can have passion for and patience for people, particularly when you're signing up a certain demographic of people that have not had the exposure to technology or education or even confidence around using tech, to now try and explain to someone and say, well, I'm going to give you a digital wallet and this is how you're going to receive money. And it's a lot, right? But for a 12-year-old to sit there and be able to carry that kind of conversation, with that compassion and patience attached to it, I think it's an incredible lesson. And as I say, so much of why I'm building Tipped Up is that one day I can hopefully pass it on, and they can continue in its journey and in its mission. But as I say, they're sharing it every day, and it's quite nice because they'll often, oh, Mom, let's go speak to this person, and let's go tell them all about Tipped. And I love that, because I think, they're learning from young, and they've seen me struggle. They've seen me sit around the dinner table at night thinking, guys, I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing. And then other days where I'm on such a high, and they're sharing that high as well. So I think it's all really good. They've got to learn through the failures that you go through. They've got to learn through the successes. All of that. It's a very good journey for them to see and witness, but also live through with me.
That's very special, Kimlynn. That's very special. That's something definitely to hold on and to motivate you every day. And talking about motivation, you mentioned earlier Diary of a CEO, also one of my go-to podcasts. Are there any other resources, books, courses, mentors that you found particularly helpful on your journey?
It's going to sound crazy, but it's everybody that I meet. Honestly, it's everyone that I meet. They inspire me and have taught me stuff. Tipped wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't for those 18 car guards that I started with right in the beginning. It would not have the purpose behind it without them. I would stand there in the mornings with them until late in the evenings, freezing cold shopping center, you're standing in the parking lot. That was a mentor to me in itself. That taught me so much in understanding, why am I doing this? Understanding, the people that I'm trying to help, but understanding their day to day, right? So they have been instrumental in making Tipped what it is. Sure, I listen to podcasts because I feel like if I can listen from or learn from those that have made it, other entrepreneurs. I've been extremely fortunate. The shareholders that I do have in my business have come on as mentors too, and they've inspired me so much because, when I've struggled with something or battled, it's a case of, well, I'm only here because of the blood, sweat, and tears, and then you kind of think, okay, all right, I can push through this. And it's as I say, it's everybody that I meet. I like taking lessons from all of it, and I like learning from every single individual because I think everybody's got something to pass on somewhere.
Absolutely. It's a journey. It's a journey. Kimlynn, this might be a random question, but I know you're an ex-interior decorator. What would you say is on your mood board for your future, your family, for Tipped?
That's a really good question. Goodness me. I think sometimes it gets a bit blurred, to be honest, because sometimes I think you get so involved in the day to day and in where am I now and what am I doing that you almost don't see, the wood for the trees, and so you lose sight a little bit of that mood board. I think when I look at it, I just see I just see happy people. Really, I think that's my biggest go-to goal that I want, is actually the faces that I've seen in the journey so far. And that's where we've increased revenue, where we're making a difference, where you see somebody go, that's what you're doing. Okay, well, that's what, this is what it's doing for me. And you kind of go, so I see that a lot. I just see it multiplied by a whole lot, right? If that makes sense. And that I see clearly. In terms of everything else, I think I just see, and I hope to see the fruit of the labor that we've been through. I hope to think, yeah, there's big things and small things, and that my kids have kind of gone, well, Mom, when Tip does really well, could we go out for this meal to celebrate? Or my daughter just wants a horse, so she's just going, will you give me that horse? And I'm going, okay, one day. But it's so I think it's not necessarily the things that I can achieve on that mood board. It's more the fact of being able to step back and go, okay, I can do this now. I'm able to do X, Y, and Z in my own personal life. Financially on my own, I think is a big thing for me, and is a big driver for me. But at the same time, I think the most clearest vision that I have on that board, people, lots and lots of people, and making a lot of them happy and just making a big difference out of that.
No, that's a wonderful answer. I mean, happy people is part of the mission. If these
Yeah,
service providers, these people that are often disregarded or shooed away, if you can make
exactly.
them happy, they will go home happy. It just becomes
Exactly.
a pay it forward thing. And I mean, it's like a ripple effect or the butterfly effect, and it just starts with believing in this mission. And I also see many happy people going forward with Tipped. I mean, it's such a wonderful mechanism to take care of those that are actually so vulnerable to the economy and the wind and the rain. People don't want to pay a car guard in the rain. They don't want to open their window. They don't want to do that type of stuff. So these people are actually more vulnerable than we can imagine. So I think if we can help make them happy, if we can just bring some joy to them, just take care of the financial side of things for them, that will make everyone happy in the greater scheme of things.
Absolutely. And as you said it's that ripple effect. And that's the beautiful part of Tipped, is that it's almost like creates this loop of good, right? So, if you put good customer service out there, you're gonna get tipped well. And if you get tipped well, your life changes. But then it impacts far bigger, right? So it is exactly that. It's it just has this beautiful, put out good, get good. And that's what we want to create. And as I say, that's where developing this ecosystem within the wallet that we've got, that's where we can do so much of that as well. Things like if you put good customer service out there, as I say, and you get rewarded for that, we bringing in these other things whereby, the way you spend within the wallet, but you can earn cashbacks, and then what else can we do? These discount baskets and all these other little things that we can bring in. And again, it just creates this beautiful, positive, this positive ecosystem really, or economy where, it's a direct correlation to what you're putting out there. And if you put good out there, you're going to get rewarded with good. So it's quite a cool I think it's just quite a cool concept in that, and that's what I really like about it.
Excellent, Kimlynn. Now, Kimlynn, we normally end all of our interviews off with the same question, which is, are you in the right place?
I think for sure, I am in the right place. But I think I've always had this way of thinking that I've always been in the right place. So wherever I've been in life, I've been in the right place, right? Because you're in the right place for that moment and in that time, you certainly are. And it's being in those places that help you become or grow you as to where you should be in the now, if that makes sense. So it's, all those places that I've been in, I think they've all been the right place at that time. And I'm certainly in the right place right now. And it's a happy place. It's a really happy place because I think, like as I was saying, when you find that purpose and that passion and that's what fuels you every single day, that's a happy place to be in. And to be able to be privileged to have that definitely is. I look forward to being in the next right place at the right time as well. So I think, yeah, I think it's all the stepping stones to where you should be, really, right at the end of our journey, wherever that is. But at that moment, absolutely, and at this present moment, 100%.
I really like that answer because you're not disregarding the journey that you've been on. Everything that you've gone through has prepared you for where you are today. Even being a waitress or a bar lady all those years ago gave you that insight into, oh my word, it's difficult to make tips. And fast forward, now you're solving that problem. So all of that has added to the story that is Kimlynn, the story that is Tipped. And I think it's wonderful just often to take time just to reflect on that. Where am I? Am I in the right place? What am I focusing on? What is the big picture that I'm busy with?
Absolutely. And even if it doesn't feel like the right place, even if it's a hard place that you're in, it still is the right place because it's teaching you something, and you're going to take something out of it. So definitely.
Thank you, Kimlynn. Kimlynn, thank you so much for joining us on the Right Place podcast. We're really looking forward to seeing you at the Clara Business Network in August. Please follow Kimlynn on LinkedIn. She posts quite regularly. Please also look at Tipped website, tipped.biz, and see what's going on over there. Kimlynn, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to learn about you. I wish you all the best, and I'm going to be definitely supporting you in any way that I can and encouraging people to get involved in Tipped.
Thanks for inviting me, for taking the time as well, and the effort that you put into this too, into everything, to being on this journey with me and for following it. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimlynn, and thank you to our listeners. Please like, subscribe, share this with your friends and family. Tell them about the joy and the movement that is Tipped. And we'll see you again next time at the right place.